What I'm going to do to get started is I'm going to take the white, which I'm going to use a fair amount of, and I'm going to put it in the middle. I'll take the red, because we're going to do our tints with red. I'll put a little bit in one of these spots. Simple enough so far? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by, it's easier, the white, if I had, I've got two colors here, right? I've got red, I've got white. I want to create a series of tints. The white will react quicker to the red than the red will to the white. So what I'm going to do is to do this mixing, I'm going to add gradually more red to the white as I go. Instead of trying to alter the red by adding more white to it. I'd end up using so much paint that I'd be back at the store tomorrow. Okay? So I'm going to add, first of all, white is not a color. White is a value. So I'm not going to paint white, because it would be white on white. It would be kind of ridiculous. So I've got my cardstock here, which is the heavy paper that you've got to buy. And I'm going to take my white and take a little bit of red, and I'm going to mix it, and guess what happens? Of course, it goes pink. Right? There's no big surprise there. Now, as I'm mixing, I'm feeling the surface of the paint, and this gets a little kind of, it's like a cooking show at this point. So I'm actually trying to feel the resistance of the paint to my brush. And this is going to take some experience on your part. When I get the feeling that it feels like heavy cream, I know I'm good to go. So I've got it. I'm going to just take, and I'm going to very quickly paint a strip that fast. And I want to leave, and I want to stop. The more you let this brush touch the painted surface, it will start to stick. You'll feel the brush resist, and it'll want to stick to the page. If you do that, you're pushing it past its usefulness, and you will get a mess. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more water, take a little bit more red, mix it in there. I'm rolling the brush a little bit as I do this, to kind of, because you'll see it's got the paint on the brush is still not mixed right. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want to hit the paper until I get that a little more evened out. And so once I feel good about it, and I can tell it's resisting me slightly, so that means to add just a little bit of water. I'm going to make another strip. And that's it. And I keep going. I'm not trying to make a design. I'm not trying to make art. I'm not worrying about making a pretty picture yet. These are things that I'm going to use to make that picture. So all this is just, I'm just creating a palette, if you will, of strips of color that are going to be the colors that I'm going to be able to use to make my selections of color for the assignment. Now remember, Albers, his whole theory is that to gain greater sensitivity with color, you need to have multiple versions of a color and select, rather than to paint directly. If one color just looks a little bit too much like the first one, don't worry about it. Just keep going. You don't have to, just let it go. Just let it dry. As it dries, it will change color. Okay? It will get gradually darker as it dries. So to be able to get enough strips to cover your little format here is 3 inches high by 3 3/4 inches across. I need enough strips to cover that space. And I need enough strips to be able to select to fit in that space. So I need about 1.5 pages these strips. So I'm going to add a little more red because the last set was a little too similar. If you see it streak like that one did, just gradually going in one direction, just hit it a few times and leaving it out. And if you find that it's got a little bit of variation, I won't use that part of the strip. Okay, just work around it. All right, I'm going to try to change it a little bit faster so it's a little more dramatic. It's like bubble gum at this point. But I'm using the brush to mix the paint. You have a palette knife. And if you want to use a palette knife, you can do so. But if you do that, you'll need to be doing it on a flat surface, like a paper plate. I hope as you're watching me do this, you do not think this is hard. It is not hard. You are going to, you can do this. You don't have to be Rembrandt or Charles White to be able to do this. At a certain point, all right, so I'm starting to get a range, right? I'm getting a range from light red to blah, 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 blah. And I want to go, for my tints, I can go as far as pure red, but no black. That's going to put me into a different value spectrum. And that's going to be our shades, and that's what I'm going to do at the end of class. But, of course, when you get to do your painting at the bottom, I'm going to let you use both. So you'll have white, you'll have black, you'll have whatever color you get. And if you think about all of the chromatic grays that you can get, by adding, chromatic gray is a gray, seems like your shirt. Your shirt has, it's a blue kind of a violet, but it's got a lot of gray in it. So all the intensity of the color is taken out of it. So you'll have the ability when you're actually doing the assignments to be able to mix color in that way on the bottom section. But you'll hear more about that on Tuesday when I actually give you the assignment. So when I get it this far, where I've got about that much red, I'm going to go the other way. Now I'm going to start with red. I'm going to go to a plate just for me. I've got almost what's pure red, it's just one shade below pure cadmium red. Okay? I'm going to make a strip with it. If you have too much water, the paint gets runny and it'll look transparent. So you got to find that nice balance. If you don't have enough water, when you try to paint a strip like that, it'll almost feel like the brush has brakes, like an emergency brake on it that's dragging, and you just cannot move the brush across the paper. It should feel easy, but not watery. And you'll learn as you go what the mix is. That's the experiential part of the course, I guess. You have to learn by doing. So I've added a little more, so now I'm going the other way. I had pure red, now I'm adding a little white to it. This would give me enough of a palette now to work with for assignment number 1 for the tints. I've got a range from light red to pure red and lots of values in between, okay? And I would then need to let this dry to be able to craft the assignment. So any questions on that part of it? Is that pretty clear? Yes?
Can you make as many different hues as possible?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing limiting you is time and money.